America is now in the longest economic boom in history. Here's President Trump on what you can expect. He's saying he's going to try for even more.
In leaving Japan, I was with Prime Minister Abe, and he was telling me they have many more companies now that are moving to the United States and building plants in Michigan and Ohio and North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, different states all over the country. And it's pretty amazing because we didn't have any. I mean, we had no expansions. And now we have a lot of expansion.
Deception. Voters are not buying it. They're trying to say that the economy is not working for you in order to sell their big government socialist policies. They're focusing on things like getting Trump's tax returns, also as well as that. And also, they're not fixing the border. They're not fixing Obamacare. Joining me now is Heritage Foundation research fellow Joel Griffith. Joel, here's what's going on. Even the New York Times is warning there is such a thing, quote, there is such a thing as too far left. You know, the Democrats now risk losing the swing states and thus the White House, even Congress.
No, too many people on the Democratic platforms this past week, they're ignoring the economic reality. And the economic reality across the country is that we are seeing near historic lows in unemployment. For Hispanics and African Americans, we are actually pretty much at historic lows. And we've been seeing nearly 200,000 jobs each and every month created since President Trump came into office. And that's not even to mention the wage growth that we're seeing. 3% year over year. This is the fastest wage growth we've seen in about a decade. Productivity growth last year was at a decade-long high as well. This is all fabulous economic news that we should be celebrating. Yeah,
and to your point, there's record low unemployment in the swing states like Florida, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. And you know what's going on, Joel? In the majority of those states, more voters said that Obamacare went too far, more than 10 percentage points than the share saying Obamacare didn't go far enough. So why are the 2020 Democrats trying to sell a big liberal agenda like single-payer, government-run healthcare system in the swing states when they're not going for that?
Well, the messaging right now is geared towards a very far-left Democratic base. It's not geared towards the center of the country. And the fact is, the proposals, if you listen closely to the debates, they're not mentioning the price tags that are involved. We know what those price tags are, just going back to the 2017 legislation that Senator Sanders proposed for Medicare for All. We know that going by his estimates, this is going to cost more than $3 trillion over 10 years. And money that is to be raised from the wealthy via a wealth tax or a 70% top income tax or transaction tax, that just plays for a small fraction of the total costs. Yeah. And we are not seeing those candidates be honest with us about that.
And you know, the Sanders Nordic socialist models are actually capitalist models. They do not have a wealth tax. And you know, the president on a host of issues, not least of which is immigration, he is saying and doing virtually all Democrats wanted and talked about 5 or 10 years ago. What seems to have changed is this. Critics are saying that 2020 Democrats have become hostages. They've become hostages of the lunatic Antifa wing of the party. We've got this NPR PBS Marist poll found 50% of even self-identified Hispanic voters say the president's doing a good job.
And that's because the average person that has to live in the real world and find a job and care for their family and save for their retirement, they are experiencing economic reality. And if you go back, even ignore all the rhetoric that we see year to year, you go back 40 years, the fact is this country has grown wealthier. If you adjust for inflation and house size, you see that the upper middle class has grown by threefold
Joe,
since
I hate to interrupt, but under President Trump, wage growth is up 7%. Blue-collar worker wages up 11%. We have more job openings than we have workers. 7.5 million job openings versus, I think, 5.8 million or so unemployed. The wage growth and the job growth pretty solid here.
Yes, and that wage growth does not just happen on accident. Wage growth comes from increased productivity over the longer term, and that productivity requires investment in research and technology, and that's exactly what the corporate income tax has done. It allows business to invest more so that every worker can be more productive and take home more money at the end of each and every month.
Joel, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're also following other